Start. The COVID 19 pandemic has had a huge impact on women's work, but as official statistics do not capture women's work adequately and accurately, little attention has been paid to the consequences of the pandemic for women workers and to the design of specific policies and programs to assist them. Stop para. A survey by the Azim Premji University of 5,000 workers across 12 states, of whom 52% were women workers, found that women workers were worse off than men during the lockdown. Among rural casual workers, for example, 71% of women lost their jobs after the lockdown. The figure was 59% for men. Data from the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy CMIE also suggest that job losses in April 2020 as compared to April 2019 were larger for rural women than men. Para. To comprehend the effects of COVID 19 on women workers, we need to begin with the situation before the pandemic. I draw here on the experience of the last 10 years with village studies conducted in collaboration with the Foundation for Agrarian Studies FAS. Para. According to National Labour Force surveys, a quarter of adult rural women were in the labour force or counted as workers in official data in 2017-18. If we examine data from time use surveys, that is surveys that collect information on all activities undertaken during a fixed time period usually 24 hours, the picture changes radically. There are no official time use survey data, The National Statistical Office did conduct a time use survey in 2019, but the results are not available. A previous pilot survey was conducted 20 years ago. I used detailed village level time use surveys from Karnataka with data for 24 hours a day for 7 days consecutively over 2 agricultural seasons in 2017-18 to illustrate the ground level situation. Taking time spent in economic activity or what falls within the production boundary in the system of national accounts or SNA and using the standard definition of a worker as one who spent measured time during the reference week in economic activity. Time use data show that although there were seasonal variations in work participation, almost all women came within the definition of worker in the harvest season. Para. This data suggests and this finding is echoed in observations by women activists that rural women face a crisis of regular employment. In other words, when women are not reported as workers, it is because of the lack of employment opportunities rather than it being on account of any withdrawal from the labor force. This crisis of regular employment will have intensified during the pandemic and the lockdown. Para. A second feature of rural women's work brought to light by gender disaggregated data at the household level in villages across India surveyed by FAS is that women from all sections of the peasantry, with some regional exceptions, participate in paid work outside the home. Stop. In thinking of the potential workforce, thus, we need to include women from almost all sections of rural households and not just women from rural labor or manual worker households. Stop para. A third feature of our village level findings is that younger and more educated women are often not seeking work because they aspire to skilled non-agricultural work, whereas older women are more willing to engage in manual labor. Stop para. A fourth feature of rural India is that women's wages are rarely equal to men's wages, with a few exceptions. Stop. The gap between female and male wages is highest for non-agricultural tasks. Dash the new and growing source of employment. Stop para. Finally, an important feature of rural India pertains to the women's workday. Stop. Counting all forms of work, dash economic activity and care work or work in cooking, cleaning, childcare, elderly care, dash a women's work day is exceedingly long and full of drudgery. Stop. In the FAS time use survey, the total hours worked by women within bracket in economic activity and care bracket close ranged from 61 hours to 88 hours in the lean season, with a maximum of 91 hours within bracket or 13 hours a day bracket close in the peak season. Stop. No women puts in less than a 60-hour work week. Stop para. How did the lockdown affect employment for rural women? Question mark. A rapid rural survey conducted by FAS showed that in large parts of the country where rain-fed agriculture is prevalent, there was no agricultural activity during the lean months of March to May. Stop. In areas of irrigated agriculture, there were harvest operations within bracket such as for Rabi wheat in northern India bracket close, but these were largely mechanized. Stop. In other harvest operations such as for vegetables, there was a growing tendency to use more family labor and less hired labor on account of fears of infection. Stop. Put together, while agricultural activity continued, employment available to women during the lockdown was limited. Stop.